Also, why does the castle have such shitty, like, magical defense mechanisms? You just send water into somebody's room? What the?
I get that the moonlings are powerful, but that seems unreasonable.
Seems unreasonable. So unreasonable.
Hey, 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 everyone. I'm Becca, he's Matt, and welcome back to another episode of Book Love Podcast.
Hello. I feel like we have like a lot to talk about in this. Okay, so we started a new buddy read in the Lightlark series. The podcast has gotten a little bit of a glow up recently, and we've both been kind of like unreasonably busy in our personal lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh are you unreasonably busy, or are we just at the time of year where like it's dark all the time and we don't want to do anything? I know I don't want to do anything.
It's
Both?
a little bit that, a little bit. I've decided I want to do all of the things. I want to see all of my friends. I want to see all of my family. I want to have all of the hobbies. And if I would just pick and choose, I'd be better off.
Okay. Well, all right. So for listener context, we're probably airing this episode in like early January, but right now it's mid-December. So
Which feels
let's start with
weird to say because it's early December, but it is also mid-December, but it is still November.
all of yeah. I can't refute any of that, Becca. What the that makes me sad.
From a work perspective, it's not December yet because December is when I'm supposed to catch up on all of my projects, and I haven't been able to do that yet.
Ugh. Yeah, I feel like I keep falling further and further behind with work. Well, I guess how are the pups? How's roller derby? How's life? What have you been doing?
The pups are good. We just got Delilah a new crate. Hopefully that goes well. Also, she can now hold her bladder pretty well, so things are going real good in the dog department. And derby is a ton of fun. I did not play contact sports growing up. So now playing contact sports as an adult, I'm like, oh, I get it.
So you okay? You started on just Wednesdays,
Yes.
but now you're like 3 days a week. What do you
So
what is this?
Wednesdays was Learn to Skate for 10 weeks. And then Learn to Skate finished and we graduated. And those of us that wanted to continue learning, we now started Do the Derby, which is on Thursday nights. And we're learning the contact part of the sport. And
Mhm.
then Sunday practices are like open practices. So we are welcome to join the team. So it's still like new kids, people that know what they're doing. So it's only 2-ish days a week. But
And how do your thighs feel?
so strong.
I suppose maybe we should move on to the buddy read. I don't know. You have anything else going on in life?
No. And people are here for the buddy read, so let's give it to them.
Okay. So we started, let's see here. We started Nightbane by Alex Aster. It is book 2 in the Lightlark series. Um, how do we even explain how much of this we've read? Like,
So you're reading a physical copy, correct?
uh-huh.
And I'm reading a copy on my device. And my the chapters are not numbered, they are named,
Mhm.
which I love when chapters are named, because then it gives you an idea. But they are not numbered. So I could
Mhm.
not tell you how many chapters we've read unless I went and counted. We're somewhere at the 56% mark.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah. And my page count is different than yours
Uh-huh.
because mine's only like 250 pages, but yours is 400?
Yeah, the hardcover is like 408 pages and I'm on page 233.
So are you enjoying it so far?
That's a loaded question. Are you enjoying it so far?
I am. There's a lot going on in this book.
I I love the premise of the story.
Mhm.
I like the plot generally. Here's what I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of the writing style. Like
Oh.
I feel like it was just like play by play with zero connective tissue until like 35% of the way through the book. We were just in location 1, then location 2, then location 3 with event like huge narrative arc that would usually take like 100 pages was condensed into like a 6-page chapter. And it was just all of those one after another, and that made me feel weird for a hot minute until a third of the way through the book where it like started slowing down a little bit or like it getting more expansive.
Yeah, I can see what you're describing, and I don't think it bothered me because we went from the first book into the second book. I mean, we were technically read a second book in between there, and you probably read other books in between there, but I could see this being really difficult to read if you were on the original train and you had to wait several months for the second book to come out.
Yeah. I think I'm irritated with the love story too. I'm not going to lie. Like, so we have two love stories. And so
Mhm.
let me specify. Oro irritates me.
Yeah, he's kind of painted as a golden retriever, but you're not really sure if he's a retriever. You know, you're like, "Are you sure you're not like a labradoodle? Like, what?"
I mean, we'll get into him, but like I just you and I we talked about uh not buying their
Mhm.
love at the end of book 1, and that has only continued for me. Maybe we should just get into what happened in the story. Okay, so this book kind of plays ping pong with current events and past events.
Mhm.
So when I was trying to like summarize things and like write, I found it very difficult to try to do that and then have like a set of discussion points at the end. So my brain, it was just a lot easier to kind of summarize some stuff when we talk and summarize more stuff when we talk. Um, so if the show's gonna be a little bit different today, I suppose, or our conversation is. Um, if anybody listening would like to write into the show, join the conversation, whatever, our email is bookclubbybecca@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Instagram. We have a new Instagram handle. It is at booklove_podcast.
Love it. Alright, so if you listened to the previous episode, you'll remember in the aftermath of Isla's battle with Aurora, she used her crown to open the secret compartment, and in the Palace of Mirrors on Wild Isle. And the book faded to black before anything happened. So,
Yeah.
what predictions do you remember that we had that were right or wrong?
Let's see here. I think we definitely predicted that we were going to find out what's in this compartment, and I think we predicted we were going to find out pretty quickly.
And we were wrong because we have
Yeah,
not
definitely
heard
wrong.
anything about what's in this compartment.
No, I think well, you predicted, and I loved your prediction that it's some type of document or correspondence or something like that. But I'm not certain if I buy that now that I'm halfway through this second book.
I will say the theme of getting more knowledge has come true because we are
Mm-hmm.
getting flashbacks of Isla's memories. So I feel like I was on the train.
Mm-hmm. Um, I thought it was really interesting. So the second book, well, actually, you should read the next little bit there.
So our story begins with the vault
Mhm.
door creaking open and a force knocking Isla down and slamming the door shut again.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on this when we read it, but inside the vault, power churned, whispering in a language she didn't understand, calling to something deep in her marrow, like a question to an answer she had somehow forgotten. And the answer to the question she somehow forgotten really connects to the whole she doesn't have her memories of Grimm.
Mhm.
So I've started thinking that inside the vault, there is some type of information that about how wildlings and nightshades connect, and maybe her mother and her father like have like unlocked some type of secret or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um anyway, when Isla when her head hits the ground, she gets a vision of like bodies and death and destruction all over Lightlark, and then she hears Grimm's voice telling her to come back to him before she snaps back to reality.
Sometime later, in her room on the mainland, Isla and Oro discuss Isla's vision and why the Palace of Mirrors might have rejected her.
In a nutshell, it's like Oro is convinced that Grimm is going to start a war over Isla, which I suppose that's been done in previous stories,
It's a
but
theme.
I really don't think Grimm is going to fight to get Isla back. Um, anyways, they also theorize that Isla was rejected by the Vault because it only responds to a wildling ruler who is the master of her abilities.
So Oro convinces Isla to train with him to master those abilities so she can be prepared for the impending war to open the vault. Do
Do you
you
believe
think
that
that's
that's yeah, I don't think that it has quite as much to do with her mastering her powers as it does with her regaining her memories and being whole as a person.
Yep, I think there's a knowledge piece that will let her open it, not a skill.
Yeah. Um and this opening, it almost like the vault was depicted as being enchanted by magic, but like further on in the story, it starts being depicted as almost like sentient. Did you get any of that? Did you read that, or am I making stuff up?
I didn't get that, but I also have been reading like a few chapters at a time because it's so thick and difficult and falling asleep pretty quickly after reading the chapters, so my synthesis might be off.
Also, it feels a little weird that this is the like rationale for training her powers. Like if you're magical, wouldn't you just want to be magical? Like why do you need a reason?
Especially in a community where things are about to be war torn. Isn't
Mhm.
isn't the war a good enough reason? Like the vault, we should open the vault. I'm curious. But also, don't you want your powers so you can maybe live?
Yeah, especially because she just came into a whole bunch of extras.
Mhm.
Like, okay, so we know that she has wildling and nightshade powers from her parents, and she just got the starling powers from Aurora. And now that she has the little love link with Oro, she has the sunling, skyling, and moonling powers.
And she doesn't know how to use
Uh,
any of them.
no. Speaking of
Except
all
the
of that, like,
Sterling.
if she and Oro have a kid, does does do they? You talk about a nepo baby.
Yeah.
This kid just has all the powers.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to the story. Oro holds a dinner for all the representatives of the realms, more or less, so he can like try to bring them together and repair the brown, like the divisions that formed over the last 500 years.
Everyone attends. Well, almost everyone. Isla sits next to Oro, sits on his other side, Marin makes her first appearance, she's the Starling representative now, and Celeste, aka Aurora, is gone. Likewise, Soren is the Moonling representative.
Conspicuously absent are Cleo and Grim. Grim for obvious reasons, and Cleo is. We're just led to believe that Cleo is an ice queen with an icicle up her butt.
Accurate. After
Mhm.
the most delicious dinner, Oro gets down to business. Here are the cliff notes. Sunling is staying on Lightlark.
Azul's democracy has given each Skyling a choice of where to live. So obviously, that's going to be a point of contention later.
Soren does his best Cleo impression and says that Moonling trusts no one and isn't saying anything else.
Why do you think Moonling is so like they're so obviously against what's going on, but they refuse to be verbal about it?
They know something that they want others to know, but they don't want to be the one to tell the secret, I'm pretty sure.
It's just ridiculous.
It's very high school.
Yes. Anyway, Oro tells everybody that his legions are preparing for a defense against a possible attack from Grim and the Nightshades. Do you really think that Oro is this all actually in reaction to the like 35-second vision that Isla had?
Nah, these are some deep seated, I don't like this area. And now my girlfriend says that maybe she thinks bad things are happening. So I'm going to use that as my ploy for why I hate this realm.
I agree with you. Mhm.
So Azul mentions that his spies have heard rumors of a rebellion in all the realms as people are unhappy because of how long it took to break the curses.
I think this is the most realistic thing in either book so far. I mean, the people aren't wrong. It took them 500 years for a 19-year-old to come along and break the curses. And can we can we imagine all of the bad decisions across those 500 years?
I'm going to give her a little more credit. I think she's 24. But also, yes. And then also, like, why are you mad? Shouldn't you actually be celebrating that the curses are broken and at least you got to live to see them broken?
I mean, yeah, there's that. But I can only imagine that there was like pent up hatred and anger for a real long time, and that'd probably be pretty hard to get rid of.
Yeah. And I would also be upset when it's, the youngest ones that solve this problem.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of young ones, Marin indicates that Starling needs a ruler because, well, obviously. And Isla goes ahead and accepts that responsibility and requests a coronation ceremony. And that brings a close to the dinner scene.
Faced with the prospect of ruling not one, but two realms, Isla seeks Azul's advice, admitting to him that she doesn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, Azul's a pretty nice dude, which has started giving me some alarm bells. I don't know why. But anyways, he hears her out and gives her like a whole bunch of understanding and compassion, and like she feels really heard and seen, and it's actually a pretty heartwarming scene.
Azul explains that nobody knows how to rule and tells her to find a why. He shows
Mhm.
her his why. He flies her up into the clouds to his home and to his people.
This city is pretty cool, but I have some logistical concerns. Okay, I get that skylines can fly. I 100% understand that. How the hell does the city in the clouds stay up? How do clouds support structures and weight? Like, is there just like a set of skylings like using their powers at all points during the day and shifts to keep everything up?
Magic.
Isn't it cold up there?
Magic?
Okay. um, Before they leave the city in the clouds, Azul urges her to get to know her own people. So Isla goes and visits the wildlings and talks to some of them. And if only every leader could act this way and give a shit about us.
It would change a lot of things.
Can we also make a note that we're around Oro a lot through this book, and we don't see him do this kind of shit ever at all, or be king.
No. To be fair, we only see things from Isla's point of view, and she's off doing shit all the time, so maybe he's doing shit while she's off doing shit. I don't really know. But it's not described.
Yeah.
Where Isla, sees firsthand the village's state of disrepair and how many of her people are still half starved, but amazingly, they are resourceful and ask that she only help the starlings.
Yeah. These people it's so heartbreaking that they're half starved, but also riddled with guilt because they had to kill people for 500 years to survive. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, like everyone else kind of gets to come out of their curse without an issue. They do not.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so now it's out of nowhere. It's the day of Isla's Starling coronation, and all of Lightlark is in attendance, except for Moonling and Nightshades.
Isla is filled with imposter syndrome but glides down the castle stairs and accepts the crown as Oro proclaims her ruler of Starling.
And then out of nowhere, the ground ruptures, and monstrous winged creatures with reptilian heads called Drex swarm out of the chasm and begin attacking everyone.
The various Lightlark powers don't seem to do any good as Isla fumbles uselessly for her powers as one of the Drex lunges for her.
But instead of eating her, it really only pauses and like studies her.
Isla touches its forehead and it shrieks, turns towards the north and Nightshade and begins flying in that direction along with all the other monsters.
Obviously, to like everybody in attendance, the coronation was just a ruse to gather everyone so that Isla, who is so obviously in alliance with Nightshade, could have the Drex attack everyone. I mean, duh.
Yep. Isla's last thought before passing out is that Grim set everything up.
Do you think he set everything up?
No,
What do you think?
I think Grim has repeatedly said he's been holding things at bay for a long time and that he's worried what will come, and his worries are coming true.
I agree. I don't know if the world is deteriorating per se, or if the like what under realm or whatever is surging. One of those two things is
Mhm.
happening. Yeah. Um, Out of curiosity, where do the Drex rank for you in terms of fantasy monsters?
I feel like I really need to read a few more descriptions on them because I feel like in this moment, in this scene, we didn't get much more than they are winged beasts coming out of the ground.
Yeah, I think I got the sense that they're big because they can just chomp off people's legs in a single bite. Um, it seems pretty scary that they would be like winged bat like, but they have reptile heads like crocodiles or something. Like, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
Anywho, a few nights after the coronation, we jump ahead in time again. Isla's balcony doors are forced open, and Isla is dragged from her bed by the sea itself. It sucks her down into the water until she's underground in a cave or tunnel or something, surrounded by a whole bunch of masked people wearing beige, which is a detail that we need to know because no realm wears beige. So this is like a neutral thing.
Hands grab for her, and in her panic, energy bursts from her, flinging her attackers away and breaking her restraints. Isla runs and runs and runs.
Mhm.
Eventually, she exits the tunnels through a door into the village near the harbor. She runs through the village until a patrolling Sunling guard sees her and takes her to safety.
Yeah. Isla, she's pretty sure she sees representatives from like, maybe not all, but a bunch of different realms. And usually in these fantasy books, like, I don't know about you, but like, usually people that are rebels are end up being the good guys. So, like, what's going on here?
I'm truly fascinated.
Can we? I don't know if they're in league with Grimm, but I think they know the same thing that Grimm knows.
I think they know more than the general public does.
Also, can we just say, like, why does the castle have such shitty, like, magical defense mechanisms? You just send water into somebody's room? What the?
I get that the Moonlings are powerful, but that seems unreasonable.
Seems unreasonable. So unreasonable. Like, okay, I get that they lived in peace for a long time. They were all cursed, but they lived in peace. But you'd think that like you after you break the curses and kill some people and the curses are gone, and now like as the king, you're in love with this really hot redhead chick that you might just like put some protections on her room, maybe, kinda. Anyway,
Obviously not.
in the aftermath of the attack, Isla asks Oro to actually begin her training because it she needed another reason.
So Oro takes Isla to see Rimlar, one of the mean winged ancient creatures of Lightlark that we met in Book 1, to help unravel her powers.
So Rimlar places a hand on her forehead and a hand on her heart, and Isla's world just unravels. Wildling and Nightshade powers burst out of her in torrents before she passes out. And this is where the story actually started getting good for me.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Isla knocks her head when she passes out, and now she's on the way back time machine. It's a year before the centennial, and Isla has just star sticked herself all the way to Nightshade for the first time.
Uh-huh. She's running from some version of the police or the palace guards or whatever, and she hurtles through the Nightshade Palace until she runs into a woman who yells at her for being late, gives her a dress, and tells her to get in line. So Isla joins a whole bunch of women just in time for Grimm to enter the room and select one of them.
And
What?
of course, Grim picks her as his consort of the night or whatever. He leads her to a dark room and makes a move on her. Incredibly, Isla is all into it.
So the two begin to get pretty steamy before Isla remembers that like Grimm is a nightshade monster, and as one does in this situation, pulls a dagger and stabs him into the chest before fleeing and star sticking herself back to Wildling. Um, okay, the most pressing question is Isla is all into this, but like the monologue that goes through her head while she's all into it is it's like this is the first time she's ever seen a man, been with a man, had a man look at her. Like, did this read a little creepy or ick to you?
Um, it felt like a middle school crush situation. Yeah.
I just um there was a little detail like so Grimm enters the room and he kind of looks down the line of girls, ladies, whatever, and then he sees Isla and his eyes go like momentarily in surprise. What do you think he was surprised about? Is it like, is it just her hair? Could he sense something?
I feel like it can't just be the hair, but also we've met no one else who's a redhead so far.
Hmm. I don't know why that detail stood out to me. Like,
And we weren't told that redheads only exist on Wildling. Like, there's no
Uh-uh.
reason for us to believe that they don't exist in Nightshade either.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like he sensed something about her. I don't know if it was her powers. I don't know. I don't know. Just interesting detail.
So, after she flees, Isla awakens in the forest to a concerned Oro, because we're back in the present time again.
Mm-hmm.
Her powers have been detangled, and that is also unraveling her memories. But she doesn't have any control currently. Oro flies her to the Wild Isle where nobody lives and the world is already dead, so she can't hurt anyone by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Palace of Mirrors becomes her temporary home.
And while she's staying there, Isla is like sick for like a week or something. She fights a fever and throws up a lot. And Oro doesn't leave her side for a week and dotes on her continuously as she like slides in and out of consciousness. And this is one of those things I was talking about. Like,
Yep,
Oro, you're a king, bro. Can you literally just afford to like fuck off to for a week?
apparently. At some point, Isla slips back in time in her wildling room, unwinding after a day of training. She ripples in her peripheral vision, and Grim appears.
Mhm.
Isla grabs for her knife, but Grim catches her wrist, forcing her own knife against her.
Yeah, understandably, Grim is pretty pissed off that she seemingly tried to assassinate him. The two struggle, but Grim is obviously stronger, faster, more powerful. I mean, duh.
He demands to know how she traveled so quickly and tricks her into telling him about the star stick. Grim demands it to be returned to him because it's a Nightshade relic. Ultimately, Isla stands her ground and Grim disappears back to Nightshade.
And then she wakes up back in the place of mirrors and vows to never be that powerless or weak again. Why? Oh, why? Like, so when I told you I'm like about some of the style of writing, I'm just here like, what was the point of this memory? Like, what? Why did Grimm show up? If not to kill her?
Or take back the star stick, or ask for help at this point.
Yeah, like I love these flashback scenes, and I think they're the best part of this book. I just read some of them, and I'm like, what? What? Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So Oro's training amounts to look at this rock, sink really hard, and then move it. And Isla sucks at that.
Yeah. Frustrated, she complains to Oro, and Oro is like, "Oh, woe is you. Let me tell you about my childhood. I had to learn to control my emotions so that like I could control the power, like instead of setting my crib on fire or turning my attendant into solid gold."
So Isla decides to confront all her internal mental demons in a fit of self induced therapy, and bada bing, bada boom, Isla can access and use her powers. A little crudely, but can access them.
How do you feel about Oro's past?
Look.
Like, I feel like after 500 years of practice and control, it would almost be a nothing burger. Like you would just do it in your sleep.
Hmm.
I get the feeling that the author gave us this information as a reason why Oro doesn't like show love or anger or anything because he just needs to be in control of his emotions. But I don't feel like it's a good reason. There's been 500 years more of practice.
No. No, Matt, no.
Also, Isla's power up. How did you feel about reading that?
Also doesn't feel regal.
It was super fast.
I mean, she's been working for it, so it doesn't feel unjustified. It just feels like we went from 0 to a chunk instead of slowly chipping away at it, but I do think we chipped away at it. It just happened to be chipped away at in 3 pages.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think some of the pacing of the book gets to me because um we get some of these like this was like a Rocky training montage,
Mhm.
and I think it's supposed to like cover a week of time or something, but you get it in like a paragraph, and then like because these chapters are just like boom 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 boom, the chapters are like, a week later, 2 days later, 3 days later. It's hard to keep track of the pace of how these things are happening. Mhm. Yeah. Like I can keep track of the plot and the events, but the timeline on which all of those events happen is it gets murky. Like, did she have her Rocky training montage over 3 days, over 3 weeks? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, with her powers unlocked, she now trains with Oro every day from sunrise to sunset, running, wielding, doing those things blindfolded, etc. And little by little, her demons dissipate and she increases her control. And I've harped on this question before, but how in the world is Oro dedicating this amount of time to her? He is a king. Okay. Yeah, so timeline. Over the course of a week, Isla's control and connection to nature grow exponentially while they're on Wildling. And the wildlings like repair their houses, get steady food source, learn new skills, etc., etc. Isla gets to know her people, and she completes the bonded ceremony, um, which a bond did. I don't know if you read it this way, but I read it as a bonded is just a kind of familiar, like an animal companion, right? Z- Zero questions. Yeah. Okay. First thing, when it was like she was left in the enchanted swamp, all I could think about is she was gonna like come across a hut and Shrek was gonna burst out the door like, "What are you doing on my swamp?" um. Okay. So you recently read a book called A Little Familiar. So I'm curious, like what is your take on links or the bonded concept versus the typical like witch familiar? Oh. Hmm. I think we didn't get very much explanation on what a like bonded is outside of just an animal that likes you and you like it. Hmm. I want more description on these bondeds. Um, so like she has Lynx, and I think it's cool that Lynx used to be with her mom. I think that's going to be a really big linchpin concept. Like usually when you read a familiar, the familiar is almost like a spiritual guide that like increases and enhances your powers. But I don't get that with Lynx. I think it's going to be like almost like a link to Isla's past. And like that's the theme here. Speaking of Lynx, going back to the story, Isla leaves Lynx in the wildling Newland and she portals herself and Oro back to Lightlark. And Azul tells them about the Revel activities and how they've been operating underground. And I was like, well, duh, did nobody listen to Isla's story about being kidnapped? But it's really odd that the Starlings would be in rebellion because, from what we're told, they almost revere Isla for giving them a chance to live when she broke the curses. So Isla takes her Skyline guards and Ella and travels to Star Isle. And I just had to wonder, is this another indication that the rebels are actually the good guys? Mm-hmm. I have a feeling. Like, I don't think yeah, I have a feeling. I think the rebels are the good guys. She's pretty open and honest with them that she has no idea what she's doing, but she'll be whatever they need her to be and she'll figure it out. And again, one more time, wouldn't it be lovely if all of our leaders acted this way? Is this believable to you, Becca? Like, because the the wildlings did it, and now the starlings are doing it, and I'm just, it's like, what if? Why do you feel it feels sus? Yeah, it feels weird. It feels weird. Um. Anyway, Marin, Cinder, and Leo escort Isla to their village, and it's more of a bunch of like lean-tos and huts than actual housing. I get that Aurora was like a bad guy, but what in the ever-loving God was she doing for 500 years? No, but she wasn't. She was just like, You'd think she would have had better game with like just basic infrastructure. Nah, what? oh, Lord of the Flies. It just, all right. I understand that if you are the king or you're the queen, you're up here and all of your peasants are down here. I get that. But the only way in which you can be up here is if all of your people are essentially a source of money for you to live. It's called taxes, right? And if you're not taking care of your people, even in basic, tiny little measures, how do you even maintain all of the shit that you have? It just sue me. Um, Back on the mainland, Isla speaks with Oro about Star Isle. Oro is worried about her. Isla is worried about their lack of physical connection. This is intentionally choppy because this is exactly how I read these like pages of text in the book. Anyway, before she can even act on her thoughts, which she's trying to get spicy with Oro tells her to rest and just leaves her. And Isla decides to fall into a deep sleep and unlock some more of her memories. Yeah, she waits in Grimm's room for like half an hour to give him some wildling elixir before she hears voices. Yes, voices plural approaching the room. So she quickly hides in his bathroom just as multiple people enter the room. Ouch, sick burn. Uh, Isla offers to settle the score with a duel, which is how they find themselves immediately back in Wildling, striding into the forest with swords. Mhm. I thought this was a funny exchange. um, I also thought it put a new perspective on the whole like dueling um, challenge or whatever during the Centennial. Like very clearly, Grimm let Isla beat him during the Centennial. Do you think that Grimm is really good at dueling because he can read intentions? Or like, does he not read intentions? He just reads emotions. Like, what's your take on that? Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, like, politically, if you're in a room like negotiating, you could probably use the emotions as an indicator of honesty or should I trust this person or whatever. But during a sword fight, just because somebody is happy or mad or something doesn't really tell you what they're going to do with. Okay. Hmm. Where were we? Okay. So Isla hates the memories and she hates Grimm. and she can't stop the memories. So her new plan is to replace the memories with new memories. Why not? Can you answer this for me? What why? Please please explain your metaphor. I am all ears. I think I'm reading into Oro a little too much. Like, I agree with everything you just said. I think he has some type of trauma or something, but I can't help but wonder if the author is trying to use this as some type of like, he's a good guy and this is chivalry. She's young and inexperienced, and I don't want to press her. And I want to wait for the right time and consent and all of that kind of stuff. And it bothers me. I don't get that vibe. That's why I think I'm reading into it too much. If anything, I think he has like some pretty hardcore trauma specifically about Grimm. I bet they used to be buds. Yeah. I can only imagine how hot Isla looked when Oro walked into that room. And just maybe this is more of a commentary on the shitastic like gender role expectations that America has given us, that dudes are just dogs and he should have pounced on that. But okay. Anyway, one thing leads to another, and Isla tells Oro about the memories and how so many things around her just remind her of Grimm. So Oro decides to move out of his rooms so that Isla can move into his rooms, because Grimm has never been in his rooms and there's nothing there that can remind her of him. Agreed. It's pretty obvious that Lynx doesn't actually seem to care for Isla much. He seems to much prefer Oro. So, you know how I said earlier that I feel like Lynx is going to be some type of key back to her mother, but her mother was bonded to a nightshade, and I feel like Lynx has to remember that and like that. So then when Lynx likes Oro, and Oro is set up as like the complete foil to Grimm, the complete opposite. I'm having a hard time taking my previous theory and then saying, "Oh, but Lynx also likes Oro." Like this is very confusing to me. Like, what's Oro got that Isla doesn't? Maybe it's literally just the memories. Isla, yeah, I don't know. Link's totally cock blocks. um, Isla and Oro also begin using the wildling power to make Wild Isle back on Lightlark come alive again. So that the wildlings have a home when they move back to Lightlark. And I can't help but feel that this is some obvious foreshadowing that it's never going to be their home, or at least it's not going to be their home for a long time. What do you think? Yeah, the argument that Oro and Azul and everybody keeps using is that like the source of their power, of their magic is Lightlark. And without Lightlark, they're all die. So wouldn't you want to just be closer to your power source or whatever? And it's such a weird, flimsy story. One could, yeah, that is probable. Hmm, interesting. Yeah, in a nutshell, Oro more or less makes Isla's world come undone, if you get what I'm saying. And can we get a hallelujah? Like, they're obviously not right for each other. Like, it's not obvious, but it's obvious. You know what I mean? And so like this tryst, this coming together, as it were, is just kind of yuck in that lens. But thank heavens their love story is trying to somewhat move forward. Hey. Uh-huh. Not a clue. Isla has decorated the castle with flowers, and she even grows a tree what in the middle of the castle after she delivers a speech because this is supposed to be a display of her glow up, as it were. Um, but as dinner comes to a close, shadows seem to envelop everything, and Isla's tree becomes a pile of ash, and disorder seems to rule the party. He gives everyone 1 month to either join him for the new future or move out of Lightlark to their mainland realms before he comes to destroy the island. Did this feel completely out of left field for you? Do you feel that way because Isla has been getting little snippets here and there? Okay, put yourself in the shoes of one of the random people at the party. How out of left field is this? Yeah, that is sort of like the stupid like mustache twirling villains, how they always have these plans and because they have the timeline, they always get thwarted. But like is it more like he's giving them a timeline because he actually cares and doesn't want to kill the people? because he's a good guy. He's a good guy. Do you think Grim and Oro are gonna team up? No. Okay. Hmm. That would be interesting for sure. Anyway, back to the party. Isla wants to know like what Cleo learned a century ago that made her skip out on the fourth centennial and begin building an armada. Cleo doesn't say anything, but she tells Isla that she'll consider her offer. Isn't that nice? So I really appreciate how there are no standing armies. I think in one of the flashback chapters, Grimm makes some comment about how only fools wait to prepare for war until there is a war to prepare for, or something like that. But throughout all history in Asia, in Europe, even in America, having a standing army is not a thing. If you have a standing army, it's like very small and it's mainly like officers and people that were professionally trained. Um, which is why we had to, like, America had to recruit armies of volunteers for the Civil War, for the Mexican War, for World War One, World War Two, and I really appreciate how these armies kind of harken back to all of those European uh, lack of standing army mentality. I think it's realistic. Um, even even today, most of the European countries don't really have like big standing armies. Interesting commentary on Nightshade though that they have a standing army. Yeah. Anyways, that night, uh, Isla stops by her room before going to Oro's room. You know, just coincidentally, and immediately stops because Cleo is standing on her balcony. She's there to help Isla because she couldn't help her son. Apparently, Isla reminds Cleo of him. She might be loyal only to herself, but she wants to help Isla because Isla's her son. What? Anyway, the Oracle is awake and has a message for Isla, and Cleo is passing that on. There's obviously some type of history between Cleo and Grimm. Do you have any theories on that? No. I think in one of the flashbacks, Isla even asks Grimm about Cleo or accuses him of something with Cleo, and he like gets offended and tells her to shut up and stop being an idiot or something. There's history there. I'm super curious. I think more than anything, the history of these all these rulers back before and at the time the curses were dealt. I think I think that's what I want more than anything else. Mhm. Um, Arriving at the oracles, well, actually, there's only just one oracle now. The other two who had previously allied with Nightshade are like thawed out of the ice and gone. So Grimm has two oracles to tell him the future, apparently. Mhm. And the oracle tells Isla, like one on one, just mind to mind, that she needs to visit her one more time alone before Nightshade arrives so that the oracle can give her a final prophecy. Very clearly not trusting Oro with that particular information. And I can't help but I can't help but read into that. Like, if she can speak mind to mind, why not just give her the prophecy mind to mind right then and there? But clearly, she doesn't trust Oro even seeing a reaction or hearing some type of dumb question come out of Isla's mouth, or like Oro is the problem. She doesn't seem to. Do you get that? Or am I making stuff up again? Do you think Isla's the chosen one? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's move forward. Yeah. So back in book one, when we met Rimlar, he was almost depicted as this evil, bloodthirsty, vicious being. But he just sort of seems to be helpful and logical and well intentioned. And I just can't help but think that there's all of this foreshadowing that is trying to tell us that the Nightshades are the good guys. Oh, yeah. So Isla reaches out past her like wildling power towards the shadows, and poof, she's no longer on Sky Isle with Rimlar. In Nightshade, Isla wanders around like an illegal night market looking for human hands, and boy oh boy, does she find them, or I guess I should say, they find her. Mhm. Copyright pending. Um, I know we've touched on this before. It's her hair. Is it just her hair? Like allegedly, she's got a hood up and wearing a cloak. Do you think there is something about her that like everybody else can sense, or is it literally just that she's hot? She can't just be that sexy. There's like she's got to have there's got to be something that everybody can sense. Maybe they don't know what they're sensing, but they just sense something. Mhm. Speaking of being out of place, Isla shoves a knife through his chest. She got pulled into an alley. Then she stabs that guy in the chest, just like she did to Grim. Um, and she does it just as some guards walk by. And as you do, Isla calmly retrieves her blade from the dude's chest and runs. Mm-hmm. All right, so he says that they are both looking for a way to survive the Centennial, and Grim thinks he's found a way. Grim is looking for a sword. No, nay, the sword. And Isla is going to help him find the sword in exchange for her life, both now and in the Centennial, as well as having him as an ally during the Centennial. Isla initially says no and then counters for all of those conditions, plus the return of her star stick. And Grim says, okay. Isla visits Wildling to tell her people about the impending war and to give them a chance, like a choice if they want to fight. And a lot of them, like, yeah, we want to fight. She also tells them that they need to start making as much healing elixir as possible, even though they tell her, we don't have that many flowers, dude. Mm-mm. Mhm. Yeah. Uh, so then back on the mainland, Oro is preparing for war. He has a team searching for this some type of special ore that when it's like made into weapons, it can pierce the toughest skins, like AKA fight the Drex. And he also introduces her to more of his friends. So we met Enya, and now we meet Cal, who is a very heavily muscled moonling, and we meet Zed, a very skilled thief from Skylink. Mm-hmm. So with with that loss in numbers, Isla decides to recruit the Vinderlanders as well as other ancient creatures. Oro is completely against this plan, but Enya says that she'll help Isla out. Uh, do you have any thoughts on Oro's friends? I mean, ostensibly, it's been like 2 months. Yeah, but I mean, you were not going to meet his friends during the Centennial when all of the politicking and scheming and crap is going on. So it's been like what 2 months since Isla broke the curses? 3 months. Is this just another example of how time is wonky and we can't even follow it? Um, and do you have any thoughts on why the Skylings might want to leave Lightlark? Like, is it just pure survival instinct, or do you think they know something? Do you think it's sort of like the Moonlings or whatever? Mm-mm. I agree with you. I think it's out of pure like just survival. They don't want to be there when Grim shows up and starts unaliving everything and everyone. But it also seems a little sus. Like, yeah. Okay. I like Inya. I don't necessarily care for his dude friends, by the way. That's Yeah, so like in the Wayback Time machine, and Grim appears in Isla's room to collect her so they can begin their reluctantly cooperative search for the sword. He takes her hand and they disappear and reappear in some mountains for the purpose of meeting the blacksmith, who is the sword's creator. Yes, all capital letters. And when they get to the top, Grim notices her cut hand. He tells her she's an idiot because now the blacksmith is going to try to kill her. And he vanishes, leaving her all alone. And that's when Grim appears and tells the blacksmith to leave her alone before he begins questioning the blacksmith about the sword. Okay, I thought the blacksmith was pretty cool. Scary, but cool. Uh yes. I remember reading um a short story maybe freshman year of high school that was about, maybe you read this, maybe they didn't have you read this by the time you got there. It was about like a dude that lived on a private island and he would have people come out so that he could like hunt humans in his jungle. Yeah. This really reminded me of that. Um I thought there were some interesting details in here. So Grim asks the blacksmith if she can help him find the sword if her blood is okay. And the blacksmith is like, yes, she can help you find the sword. So, like, okay, I think what we learn about the sword is that the sword was enchanted a long, long time ago in such a way that no Nightshade ruler is able to find it or acquire it or possess it or something like that. So that makes me wonder, like, okay, Isla is not a Nightshade ruler. Why would she be unable to help him? Like, why does Grim need to ask the blacksmith this question? What what does the blacksmith know about Isla? What does Grim know about Isla? What is up with Isla? Ooh, hmm, that's interesting. Okay, I like that. That's Oh no. Is Isla gonna turn out to be Grim's like cousin or something? Are we gonna have a weird ass love triangle story thing? Okay. Back on Lightlark, Isla turns to Marin to begin preparing the defensive power shield, um, like that's gonna help Lightlark against Nightshade. She asks Marin to take her to their strongest wielder. Marin reluctantly takes her to her little cousin Cinder. Reveal. Then Marin agrees to use Cinder as a source of power to fuel the shields as long as no one knows about her. And Isla's like, sure, no one's going to know about her except Oro. It is 10 days after the blacksmith, but Grim wants to collect her to go talk to the thieves that stole the sword. Boom. Okay. I remember where we are. So that's where they portal. Little fishing village in the middle of Nowheresville, Nightshade. Any theories? Do you have any theories on this? I feel like the only person that could do this would be Aurora. All right. Anyways, they sneak into the thieves' lair, and Isla is almost immediately attacked by three dudes who she like mostly handles. There's a little scuffle. Grim goes ahead and takes a fourth man hostage and then interrogates him roughly before executing him. In a wonderful coincidence, there just so happens to be a celebration there in 2 weeks' time. So Grim portals Isla back to her room and says he'll come back for her in 2 weeks. Um, Seemed awfully convenient. No other thoughts, I guess. I don't know. All right. Now it's not yet time to meet Grim, and Isla has a little bit of an itch to know her people more. So she uses her star stick in the middle of the night to portal to a village on the other side of the wildling realm, where she is pretty quickly caught by the villagers and tied up so they can cut out her heart. Grim goes ahead and helps her and then takes her back to her room where he ends up watching her throughout the night to ensure she doesn't bleed to death. Is this supposed to be like the beginning of their romance? So if that's the case, if I'm Grim, I'm not gonna lie to you, Becca. Isla just seems like a silly, stupid little girl always getting into trouble and always getting hurt. Sorry, the way you phrase that, it just has like some hardcore euphemism overtones. And I'm only thinking about that now. I didn't actually read the sword as like a phallic symbol when I was reading the story, but now I can't not think about it that way. Apparently, the display of her nightshade abilities was enough for the Vindolanders to now agree to help her. They respect her, I think. At least they mention tales in their people. Um, they mention tales of people that like quote stand on the line between life and death. Uh-huh. And of course, we're not going to know what that memory is because that's where we ended reading. Yes, I feel like this was about 3 books worth of events. It was a lot. Okay, what's your overall thoughts and vibes? You have no idea where we're going. Okay, I'm going to make a couple of assumptions and I want to see if you agree with me or not. Isla leaves Oro for Grimm at some point. Do you think that she does that before Grimm comes to Lightlark? Hmm. Why not? Do you think where does the book end? So we have at this point we have like what 25 days or something until Grimm is coming to destroy the island. Do those 25 days happen by the end of the book, or does the book end before the countdown ends? I think you are correct. My theory is that is that Isla leaves Oro and goes back to Grimm before the countdown is over, not because she wants to leave Oro for Grimm, but more as a strategic try to stop the war type of measure. And I think the book ends when Isla like portals to Nightshade and steps into Grimm's rooms or something and is like, "Honey, I'm home." Um, Here's a lingering question I have. The book is titled Nightbane. When Isla is in the illegal Nightshade like night market, somebody tries to sell her Nightbane and she brings it up to Grimm in yet another flashback. And Grimm is like, "Don't use that shit. It's essentially meth." Okay, why is this book titled after Nightshade meth? How does Nightbane factor into any of this? Do you think Grimm's war is a war on drugs? Is Grimm running the biggest, most international dare program of all time? Actually, that's interesting. Okay, so like Nightbane, how do they describe it? The people that take it are like euphoric and they're the happiest they've ever been, but it slowly kills them and drains their life or whatever. Do you think there's a chance that Nightbane has been leaching into like the earth, like the crust of the world, and that is what is causing the deterioration between the surface and the underrealm? Okay. Do you have any mini predictions before the book is over? Maybe not where everything is going, but like little ones. Like does she open the vault by the end of the book? So, okay, speaking of the sword, I kept reading because when I told you I had a stopping point in mind, in my brain, there weren't going to be as many flashbacks and they were going to find the sword like by the halfway point. And I was like, oh, they find the sword and we can cut it off. And I kept reading and I kept reading and they didn't find the damn sword. And I'm like, I am tired. I have legitimately, no joke, been reading for 12 and a half hours. I am exhausted. I think that they find the sword soon, actually. Yeah. I I think that she opens the vault by the end of the book. I don't know if she knows what's in it. Like, so the first book ended with her trying to open the vault, and I think the second book ends with her actually opening the vault. And then the beginning of the third book is opening the vault, just like the beginning of the second book is opening the vault. It's pretty circular. Yeah. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this because the writing got better. I didn't care for the very beginning with all of like the jump cuts, but it's gotten better. It's gotten a little bit more connective tissue. I hope so, especially with the moonlings gone, because the healing elixir would really level the playing field. On the other hand, I could definitely foresee the author taking away the healing elixir to make circumstances more dire. But I hope you're right, and I hope that they get more flowers and they figure out how to increase their stock. Um, what is this book trending at so far for you in terms of a rating? Are you at a 5 out of 5 on this one? Strong four? I think I'm at like a 3.5. I think we're gonna get some type of ending that nobody expects to see coming. I think there's gonna be a big huge twist. And I suppose that that's probably where we should stop and we should put a bookmark in it for now. Um, don't forget to leave a comment or send us an email. You can find all of our contact info down in the description down below. See ya.